Hello, welcome to our unique learning system language arts lesson. My name is Charlotte Lucas. I am an autism low incidence mentor teacher with Richmond Public Schools, and I am so happy to be here with you today. Our focus today will be editing our writing. First, we'll read our letter to Gavin. We'll read a book report on light and sound. We will edit our letter, and then we will use a graphic organizer to remind us of our focus when editing. We have a lot to do, so let's get started. This is our letter to Gavin, and the letter is from Dale. I'm going to read it to you, and then I'll discuss with you how we're going to edit the letter. Dear Gavin, I cannot wait for the school play next week. Working on the licensed sound will be fun as our family coming to watch. Miss Thomas has taught us a lot. When I grew up, I want to work on Broadway plays in New York City. Your friend Dale. So, as you can see, as I read that, this was not a very clear letter, and it isn't clear because there's no punctuation and there's some words that I spell incorrectly. So I'm not quite sure if I said all the words right. So we need to edit this. Edit means that we're going to change it. We're going to check it for punctuation, capitalization, and spelling. Punctuation has to do with what do we put at the end of our sentence? A question mark, a period, or an exclamation mark. If we're asking a question, of course, we have to put a question mark. If we're just making a statement or giving facts, we want to put a period. If we want to show excitement, we're going to put an exclamation mark. So that's what we have to consider when we're reading our letter and making our edit. Now, as we're reading, we need to also put in commas because today we are editing a letter. And letter, when you're writing a letter, there are certain rules you have to follow. The first rule that you have to follow is that after your greeting, and this is the greeting portion of your letter, after your greeting and the person that you're naming, you need to have a comma. And as you end your letter, after you write your salutations, your ending, after you write your ending, you put another comma and then your name. So those are the rules that we have to deal with when writing a letter. And so we will not change the rules. We'll follow the rules and do the right thing. But as we are editing our work, we want to use a graphic organizer to make sure we have checked everything we need to check. This is a graphic organizer. And I'll make it a little bit smaller so you can see that it's just your piece of paper. And what you do is you use these boxes to check off if you've done everything you're supposed to do. So what are you supposed to do? Do I have a capital letter at the beginning of the sentence for names of people and places? That's what capitalization is all about. For people, for names and places, and for titles. Next question you want to ask yourself. Do I have punctuation at the end of the sentence? Do I have a period, question mark, or exclamation point at the end of my sentences? And are they in the correct spot? Because a period, a punctuation in the wrong spot, not good. Does my sentence make sense when I say it out loud? So, does it make sense? That's important. If your sentence doesn't make sense, you need to redo your sentence so it will be clear to the reader. And when you are editing, it is a great idea for you to speak out loud so that as you're reading, you will make sure your flow is correct. And you will also make sure that your sentence makes sense. And then, are all of my words spelled correctly? That is going to be important. So let's go back to our letter and see what errors we can find so that we can edit this paper. What I've done is I've taken this letter and I've redone it in a Word document. By putting it in a Word document, we're going to have a couple of advantages. The Word document will show us a lot of times where our errors are. But in this case, I was looking for spelling. We don't have a word bank for this exercise. So the Word document will show us where our spelling corrections need to be made. That will be very important. So before we get started, I want to tell you about this letter to Gavin that Dale is writing. Dale has been in a play at his school, but he wrote a book report about it. And I want to read it to you, and this will serve as our review or as our summary of what the book was about. It'll give you a good idea about what's going on. And if you haven't done the previous lessons before this one, you might want to go back so that you can read the story and find out what was going on. But let's start. This is a book report about the book Light and Sound by Janelle Gazunas. I learned that light and sound are types of energy. We can get light from many things, like the sun and flashlights. Sound is made by vibrations that travel through the air. I like this book because I learned a lot about light and sound. Now, that's the book report. This is the book report that was written about the book that we have read as a team over the last couple of weeks. Now, the book report reflects that, and Dale decided to write a letter to Gavin about the situation that they're in and the fun that they've been having. All right, so let's read our letter again. Dear Gavin, I cannot wait for the school play next week. Working on lights and sound will be fun as your family coming to watch. Miss Thomas has taught us a lot. Whew, that sentence just went on and on and on. There was no place to stop. There were no periods. There was no punctuation. I didn't know what to do. I could only stop where I saw the period, and there it was, finally. When I grow up, I want to work on Broadway plays in New York City, your friend Dale. Woo! Those sentences are running together, and it doesn't sound like they need to do that. But first, let's do the easiest thing. Let's find the spelling errors, because like I said, our Word document has already pointed out in red these squiggly lines where we have some spelling errors. We'll take care of that first. Editing means taking care of your spelling mistakes. And if you're smart, you'll go ahead and type your document while you're writing. Don't worry about spelling when you're writing. Don't worry about it. After you've written and you're ready to do your final draft, type it in. And when you type it in, you will find your spelling errors. That will be an exceptional way of doing it. So, spelling errors. Let's start with this one. Cannot. Cannot. I think for this word, the spelling is incorrect because I think we need another N. Cannot. That is a compound word, and we're going to put cannot, another N in it, and it reads I cannot. All right, let's see where is our next spelling error. Play. I think for the school play, it was a school play that they're doing. So I know this word should be play, but PLAE does say play, doesn't it? Because those two vowels together, A and E, will say play. A. It does make that long A sound, but that's not the way it sounds. I'm sorry, that's not the way it's spelled. Let's do the correct spelling. We're going to put another vowel with this, the letter Y. Now, we know that Y is not always a vowel, but in this case it is. And that AY together says A. So now the word is play. And it's really, really interesting that even before whoever spelled that did spell it correctly. Dale spelled PLAE. That did say play, but that's not the way you spell it. So make our correction and we're moving on. Let's look at the next word. This is n-e-k-t. The way that's spelled, that's really kind of I'm not sure what that is, but I believe it says the school play next week. Next week. Next. Now he has the sound k, C, K. C says k, K says k, and together C and K will say k. So we know this neck, neck, a T at the end, that's not going to work because neck doesn't need a T at the end. So let's take that away. Neck. Very good. That is spelled correctly. Neck. All right, let's go here. Working on lights and sound. Well, we have two vowels again. Y and W are sometimes vowels. So we do have two vowels together, making the O sound, sound. We need the sound. And this is a word that is not easy to do phonetically. This is a sight word. So sight words, you have to know how to spell. And that's how come you're given sight words and phonics training, because sight words do not follow the rules for phonics. But this OW in here isn't going to work. Let's try another vowel in here. Let's try U. Sound. Sound. Maybe you could think of another word that you already know, like pound, if you get a little bit confused. Try to rhyme the word with the word you already know how to spell. But here we're going to take out the W and put in a U, and we did it right because those squiggly lines are gone. That means we've spelled it correctly. We're using the Word document to show us where our misspelled words are. That's going to make life wonderful. All right, this word is family, and family is a word. It's just that two E's at the end of the word, we don't usually do that. You don't see two E's at the end of the word too often. A word like free, yeah, tree, those kinds of words. But family, no, it is the E sound because two vowels together, and these are two E's. That will make the E sound. Family, family, family. It does make that E sound, but we don't usually use that. Let's try again, family, like family. Let's put a Y there, family. And guess what? The squiggly lines are gone. Therefore, we're able to know that we spelled it correctly, Family. All right, I'm feeling pretty good about that. We are learning that we can spell a word phonetically as we're writing. Don't stop. Don't try to fix it, because spelling can be fixed at the end when you're editing. And like I said, the Word document can find your spelling errors for you. And most of the time, it's usually just the vowels that you're having trouble with. All right, so now we have taken care of our spelling. We're on our way. Let's take care of the rule for writing letters. The rule for writing letters, and we must always follow these rules. So we're going to take care of that first. Dear Gavin, after you've made your greeting, what you do is you need a comma after the person's name. That's the rule. So we don't even have to think about it. All we need to do is do what the rule says. And if I put my cursor here, I can put a comma there, and I have taken care of that rule. Another rule, at the end of your letter, every time when you are telling your ending, when you are saying goodbye, you say your friend, and guess what? You need a comma there also. Those are the rules, okay? Those are the things we can take care of quickly. We know we've gotten the commas correct for that. We can move on. And I'm going to tell you another easy thing that I see really quickly, really easy for us to take care of is the name. Every person's name starts with a capital letter. Yep, that's the way it is. If your friend's name is Boo Boo, it still starts with a capital letter because that's his name. So this person's name, Dear Gavin, We cannot leave that. Let's be respectful and give Gavin a capital letter for his name. Dear Gavin, and here at the end, Dale knew better than this. Dale, you know you do not write your name with a lowercase d. Let's make that a capital D, and we've gotten that taken care of. All righty, so we've taken care of that. Now let's look at the body of the letter and see if we can come up with some rules that we can take care of quick and easy before we get started. And one of the rules I see right quick is the word I. The word I. We don't care where the word I comes in a sentence, beginning, middle, or end. It always starts with a capital letter. So that's a rule you can take care of. You don't, whatever you're writing, you can always use a capital I because that's the rule and it will always be correct. So let's just turn that lowercase I into an uppercase I, and we have solved that problem for capitalization. Let's try some punctuation. Whew, I know, here we are looking at this letter right quick, and I'm trying to show you how to do it quickly, save you some stress. But if you look quickly, you know that if this is the end of the letter, if we go to the very end of the letter and there's no punctuation, we need to put some punctuation there. So the last period was here. When I grow up, I want to work on Broadway plays in New York City. That's not a question, is it? That's just a statement. Not showing excitement, just a statement. And a statement requires, you're right, a period. Let's put a period there. We've taken care of that. That was easy. We took care of some really easy things, our commas, because we're doing a letter. We followed the rules. Dear Gavin, we put a comma at the end, your friend, comma. Excellent. And we know that if we're at the end of the letter, we have to have punctuation. This was not a question. We put a period. That is all worked out. Let's see if we can find some other punctuations that's missing. Starting at the top. I cannot wait for the school play next week. Working on the lights and sound will be fun. Is your family coming to watch? Mrs. Thomas has taught us a lot. My, that's a lot, and it just runs on and on and on. We have got to put some punctuation in here at our natural pause. Let's see if that works. Where we feel like there's a natural pause, let's see if that has a point where we can put a punctuation. I cannot wait for the school play next week. Okay, that sounds like a natural pause. Let's try that. Let's put a punctuation right there. And that would be a period. All right. I cannot wait for the school play next week. You know what? That sounds like Dale was trying to show excitement. I cannot wait for the school play next week. I think that shows excitement. I think I want to put a exclamation mark right there because it sounds like the writer was trying to show excitement. I cannot wait for the school play next week. Show some excitement. Okay. Now, if that's a natural place for us to end, then here, this next letter needs to have what? That needs to have a capital letter. And let's put our capital letter there. Working on the lights and sound will be fun is your family. Ooh. Working on the lights and sound will be fun is your family. Oh, look at this. This capital I right here tells us that that's a beginning. So this must be what? The end. Working on lights and sound will be fun. Let's put a period. That doesn't sound like we're trying to show excitement. Working on lights and sound will be fun. Is your family coming to watch? Is your family coming to watch? What should we put there? A period? Is your family coming to watch? That sounds like a punctuation mark. Let's give that a try. I'm sorry, it sounds like a question mark. Let's see. Let's put a question mark if Miss Lucas can find it. There it is. Is your family coming to watch? Ah, that makes good sense. Is your family coming to watch? Mrs. Thomas has taught us a lot. When I grow up, I want to work on Broadway plays in New York City. Well, it looks like we've gotten all of the punctuations, but look, it says, when I grow up, I want to work on Broadway plays in New York City. New York. Here's New York. The York is correct. How about the word new? That needs to be capitalized. In New York City. When I grow up, I want to work on Broadway plays in New York City. All right, that's excellent. We've gotten some capitalization here. This word right here, Broadway plays, this one I'm not so sure about. As a teacher, if you put Broadway plays there, because that's the name of a street in New York also, Broadway, I'm going to leave that there. We may have to look that up. So let's see how our letter reads now. Dear Gavin, I cannot wait for the school play next week. Oh, we've got to show excitement. Let me start over. Dear Gavin, I cannot wait for the school play next week. Working on the lights and sound will be fun. Is your family coming to watch? Mrs. Thomas has taught us a lot. When I grow up, I want to work on Broadway plays in New York City. Your friend, Dale. Well, it seems like we've gotten everything done that we're supposed to do. The flow is great. All of the names and commas are done. Let's see if we've done everything we were supposed to do. So let's go back and look at our graphic organizer. And the graphic organizer will help us to remind us if we've done everything in editing that we're supposed to do. And we can check it off as we go. So, do I have a capital letter at the beginning of the sentences and for names and people and places? Yes, we do. Let's check that off. I think we did a very good job with that. Yes. All right. Do I have punctuation at the end of the sentence? A period, a question mark, an exclamation point. Well, in this letter, we had all three. So yes, we don't even have to think about it. We did that correctly. Does my sentence make sense when I say it out loud? Well, we did both things right. First of all, we spoke it out loud. When you're editing, talking out loud is a very important thing to do. It will help you to make sure that your sentences make sense. If it doesn't make sense, you need to change it. So we did that. And I'm going to say we did a very good job. And are all of my words spelled correctly? Now, for this document, we used the Word program. So when we typed it in, Word showed us where all of our misspelled words were. We found our misspelled words, we corrected them, and there were no more red squiggly lines. So I'm going to say yes, we've taken care of all of that. And if we can check yes to all of these things on our graphic organizer, then we've done a great job. Graphic organizers are wonderful things to use, and editing is a very important part of the writing process. So guys and girls, you've done a great job. I think we took care of everything that we were supposed to do today. I look forward to working with you again. Thank you and bye-bye.